Welcome everyone to another Legacy of the Valiant card discussion video. This video is on the TCG exclusives in Legacy of the Valiant.
We're going to start it right off with the sneak preview promotional card, which was Sylvan Blade Fender. It is an Earth Plant level 4 with 1900 attack and 700 defense. Its effect is when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a plant monster, send it to the graveyard, otherwise put it on the bottom of your deck. If this card is excavated from the deck and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand.
So this is sort of like another beater-ish type card like Flower Knight, except this one, when it destroys a monster, you're going to be able to excavate, and if it's a plant card, obviously send it to the graveyard. But the main nice thing I see about it is that if it's excavated, you can just add it to your hand, so you're going to be able to summon it on a ladder turn. And
summon it, and then excavate more cards with its own effect. So
its effect, and that does give Sylvans the ability to, or gives them additional support for rank 4 plays, which are kind of a big deal, I'd say.
Yeah, they definitely help. Alright, and next we have Sylvan Mikha Range. It's a water plant effect monster level 3 with 400 attack and 1100 defense. Its effect is when this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a plant monster, send it to the graveyard, otherwise place it on the bottom of your deck. If this card is excavated from the deck and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, all plant-type monsters you currently control gain 300 attack and defense.
So it's a nice little power boost for all of your plant-type monsters, which is obviously a nice thing. It helps give your, Hermitry up to 3,000, so that's definitely a big deal.
Another nice thing, as a level 3 water with less than 500 attack, it can be used with Debris Dragon. Bring out Gungnir, which is pretty nice.
Oh, that actually is a pretty powerful play.
Other than that, I mean, if it's just kind of a, in terms of when you already have it in your hand, it's kind of just a weaker monster to set, and then it gets destroyed, and then you excavate, so.
Yeah, it's not really the best. It's not as good as the other level 3, which is Komashumaru, who can potentially excavate up to 5. This card, whether it's destroyed by any means and sent to the graveyard, you only get to excavate the top card. So not as efficient as Komashumaru, but still good for the extra attack boost, I would say. Next we have Ghostrick Yeti, which is a level 3 dark zombie effect monster with 300 attack and 2000 defense, and its effect is cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghostrick monster, and once returned you can change this card to face down defense position. When this card is flipped face up, you can target one Ghostrick monster on the field. This turn it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects.
So obviously with that 2000 defense, it's a pretty tanky card there. Plus with its extra effect is you can basically make a monster invincible for the rest of the turn. So it's pretty much just, it's a defense card.
I would say its effect is best used on the Xyz monsters because you're going to want to keep those around. You're going to be able to use the combination of your other Ghostricks with your Xyz effects. You can use this card to protect your Xyz monsters, and then have your other Ghostrick monsters try to flip your opponent's cards face down, and you can either use Dullahan if they have a face-up attack monster still, and you can try to get over that and not be destroyed by your opponent's back row, or you can use Alucard and destroy their face-down defense position monster without having to suffer potential, like Fiendish Chain. Or I guess that doesn't really help because it's just destroyed, not targeted, which is kind of unfortunate.
Obviously, the kind of tricky part about this card is the timing of its effect. It's when it's flipped face up, so you want to use things like Ghostrick Go Round to time that correctly, and usually to flip it up on your opponent's turn for your means, because they're probably not going to attack it until last if you just have all your monsters face down and vulnerable to attacks. So.
Yes, next we have Jingi Pavo, which is a light level 4 winged beast effects monster with 1700 attack and 800 defense, whose effect is when a beast warrior type Bujin monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon one Bujin monster from your deck. You can only use the effect of Jingi Pavo once per turn.
So obviously it's pretty much just the ability to replace Bujin Beast Warrior that gets destroyed, so it's kind of a backup for ready if, say, your Yamato gets destroyed, or things like that. You can just grab another one.
Yeah, I think this card is kind of overlooked. You can special summon your Mikazuchi if your Yamato or Arasuda or whatever gets destroyed by battle. And then additionally, this card you're going to be able to go ahead and discard or send it from your hand, I suppose. A little bit different. And special summon a Yamato from your deck so you can continuously get some more Bujingi support for your Bujin monsters, of course.
And obviously this card does kind of follow the trend of the dark Bujingis that are released as the TCG exclusives, as kind of a parody on the other ones, this one being on Peacock, which lets you add during your main phase 2, you could add a Bujin monster from your deck to your hand by sending it to the graveyard, so it's a very similar effect,
yeah.
Just kind of like the dark version. So next we have Gravekeepers Heretic. It is a dark spellcaster, level 4 with 1800 attack and 1500 defense. Its effect is this card on the field is unaffected by all other card effects as long as Necro Valley is also on the field.
Yeah, so a lot to say about this card. It's unaffected by other card effects on the field, so that's going to keep it protected, perhaps, while you get additional Gravekeeper support on the field, potentially other level 4s. You can go into number 66 Master Key Beetle, protect your Necro Valley that way, since Gravekeepers are dark level 4 monsters. Primarily.
Yeah, one thing, definitely something to be careful of and to note, it does not say that that Necro Valley is excluded from its effect, so it does not get an attack boost from Necro Valley being on the field. However, at the very least, it is still a nice card to allow for the Necro Valley support cards that were in Legacy of the Valiant, because you need to have Necro Valley and a Gravekeepers. This is a good one that, as long as you have that Necro Valley, this guy's not going anywhere.
I thought we decided that it is affected by Necro Valley, and it gets 500 attack. But yeah, 20...
That's just what you want.
20... Well, I don't really like Gravekeepers that much, but a 2300 beater is pretty strong for level 4, so that it makes sense that it's not affected by Necro Valley. But next we have Noble Knight Paradude, level 4 light warrior, effect monster with 1900 attack, 300 defense, whose effect is, when equipped with a Noble Arms equipped spell card, this card becomes level dark, and its level increased by 1. When this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with a Noble Arms equipped spell card, target one Noble Arms card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand.
Obviously, it's pretty nice. Its ability to fluctuate its level, like most of the other Noble Knights, gives you the ability to use for the Xyz. When it's sent to the graveyard, you kind of just replace the Noble Arms you had equipped with it with a different one. Or even the same one if you want to.
Yeah, becomes dark and level 5 when it's equipped by a Noble Arms spell, so that's going to give it the ability to go into the rank 5s and even Shark Fortress is that 2 darks? Shark Fortress?
It's generic.
Oh, it is generic. Well, for some reason I thought it was 2 darks.
It's because it is.
But yeah, its ability to add a Noble Arms, any Noble Arms card from your graveyard and add that target to your hand is you get to pick and choose, so that does give some versatility, I suppose.
Alright, we're going to move on then to Gwenifar, Queen of Noble Arms. It's a light spellcaster effect monster level 2, 300 attack and 300 defense. Its effect is you can target one Noble Knight monster you control, equip this card from your hand or graveyard to that target. You can only use this effect of Gwenifar, Queen of Noble Arms once per turn. The equipped monster gains 300 attack and apply the appropriate effect depending on the attribute of the equipped monster. If it's light, then the equipped monster, if it were to be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy the Queen of the Noble Arms instead. And if it's a dark, if the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster at the start of the damage step, you can destroy that monster and destroy this card, so giving it a pseudo-catastor effect.
So this card also gives Noble Knights some sort of needed effect protection, I suppose. A lot of the Noble Knights, of course, gain or become dark types and increase their level by 1 when equipped by a Noble Arms card. This card does count as a Noble Arms equipped card when on the field, so they are going to become a dark level 5 if that is their effect, and that is
so most of them are going to get the second effect rather than the first.
So that means if needed, or if your opponent's monster doesn't have a protection effect, you are going to be able to destroy them by destroying Gwenifar. But it also allows you to protect cards like Gawain. You can protect Gawain. Let's see what other ones don't gain levels.
The Xyz.
Yeah, I suppose.
Both of the Xyz monsters. I think other than that, our Torgus is...
Oh yeah, because you can equip it to the Xyz monsters. Yeah, that's nice.
Obviously, there's our Torgus, who's a normal monster. So
yeah, those are both light, so you are going to be able to protect these Xyz monsters from being destroyed by card effect. And it's not even a targeting card effect, it's just a card effect. So it can be monster spells or traps, it's just a card effect. Card effect that destroys.
The other nice thing is the fact it's not a Noble Arms equipped spell card except when it's on the field, but it is a Noble Arms card, so any effect that just specifies Noble Arms can target this card, which is a majority of the Noble Knights effects. That lets you grab a lot of various cards, plus the fact that this card can be equipped from the graveyard once per turn with that dark effect. I mean, if you destroy that, you can just re-equip it next turn.
Well, I suppose you could grab this with Paradude, because if it's equipped with a Noble Arms equip spell, besides, and it's just sent to the graveyard, then you can target a Noble Arms card, which this card is, and add that target to your hand. But you don't really need to, since this card can be equipped from the graveyard.
Yep, exactly.
I guess next we have the Synchro Monster TCG exclusives powered Exectron, which is a light level 6 machine synchro effect monster that requires one tuner and one or more non-tuners to synchro summon into. And when this card is synchro summoned, this turn cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and also you take no damage. Oh, and it has 2,500 attack and 1,600 defense.
So this is, being a machine, this is a surprisingly powerful card, mainly because basically during that turn you're immune to damage and this card being destroyed. So things like limiter removal on the turn you summon it, it's gonna have no drawback. You just double its attack.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and make a power bond play too. And if you synchro summon this card, you're not going to take any damage at the end of the turn. So this is great in any like machine fusion type, maybe even a Cyber Dragon deck if you throw in a few tuners or something like that.
Yeah, I mean just a level 1 tuner will get you there. So.
Or if you have if you're using some of the other Cyber Dragon cards, of course you modulate levels that way, or you use different level tuners that way.
Another nice thing is there's a monster that was released back in Starstrike Blast. It's called Vice Berserker, where you can when you synchro summon using it, you take 2,000 damage, but the synchro monster you summon gains 2,000 attack until the end phase. With this guy, you pretty much just have 4,500 till the end of the turn with no drawback. So that's another very nice card to use there.
But you do have to take note that you take no damage this turn. That does not relate to you paying a cost for a card. You do have to pay the life points for cards if it is a cost.
Paying life points is different than taking damage. So.
But next, we have one of my favorite cards, Obedient Schooled, which is a normal spell card with the effect, if you control no monsters, special summon 3 level 2 or lower beast-type effect monsters with different names from your deck. Their effects are negated, and they are destroyed during the end phase. If you activate this card, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except beast-type monsters. So, many different plays you can make with this card. Obviously, if you have no cards on the field, there are certain decks that sort of benefit from this more than others, obviously. Some notable ones just being the Tanukis, which are obviously you special summon level 2 monsters, you can go into your number 64 pretty easily that way, and then you can normal summon after that and go into 2 number 64s and make lots of tokens and be able to destroy your opponent's monsters. It's a grand old time. Obviously, you can also use this with Fabled and go for some synchro plays that way. And there are, of course, other beast-type monsters, level 2 or lower. There's a couple tuners that way for synchro summons.
Summon various things like the various Fabled monsters, Thunder Unicorn, even Naturia Beast if you meet the requirements there. Another nice thing is the restriction is only on special summoning, and it's a card that just pulls 3 monsters out from your deck. So it's a very easy way to set up one of the Egyptian gods or one of the wicked gods. So it's a very easy way to get 3 tributes on the field very easily just with the one card. So
imagine running Obelisk. You bring out an Obelisk or maybe a Ra, and you get out a really strong monster, and then you bring out a number 64 and copy its attack, and wow, two 4,000 attack monsters on the field.
I mean, even if you were running, say, Slifer in a deck like this, if you open your hand, have your opening hand with Obedient Schooled and Slifer, you're gonna have a 4,000 attack Slifer just right off the bat because it only takes 2 cards. All right, and then finally we have the continuous trap card, the first Monarch, which has the effect of special summon this card as an effect monster, Fiend type, Dark, level 6, 1,000 attack and 2,400 defense, and it's also still treated as a trap card. If summoned this way, you can discard 1 card, then declare an attribute. This card becomes the attribute and can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster using that same attribute. When this card is treated as a monster, you cannot special summon monsters except monsters with that card's attribute.
So this is mostly good in, well, Monarch decks, of course, because you're going to be able to use it for any of the Mega Monarchs, but I would say it's best in a deck that uses one attribute, since you are going to be able to special summon on top of attributing this card for like a Mega Monarch, like a Mobius the Mega Monarch. You're going to be able to special summon frogs from the graveyard since they are water and go into Xyz that way.
Another nice thing, it doesn't combo all that well with other trap monsters, because if you use its effect, you're restricting yourselves on what kind of monsters you can play. But as it is a trap monster with a pretty decent defense, you can combine it with like a Tiki Soul and Tiki Curse, which can help out a lot. Another nice thing is, since it can be treated as two tributes for the tribute summon of any kind of monster, and all it takes is a discard, that does help with summoning just about anything. Even God cards, because you could declare the attribute to be divine, and then you've got two tributes right there.
Are any of the... I think Zoma's a dark, right?
Yes, Zoma the...
Well, the
spirit is dark.
Do you only get the restriction? You only get the restriction when...
If you use the effect,
So
yes.
you can special summon... So you could special summon other trap monsters before, then you could wait, use its effect on the next turn, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it?
Yep, exactly. And you could even just summon the other monsters and then summon the first Monarch and use its effect.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of... It does restrict you a little bit if you end up using the effect,
So you would be able to activate this card, activate Shape Sister, and go into a level 8 Synchro right away, which would be...
Yep, that'd be very easy.
Which would be pretty awesome.
Yep. Other nice things is, since it will function as basically two tributes for whatever attribute of monster you need, that does help a lot in like Earthbound Immortal decks and other various things that require actually tributing. Things like you could easily get Beast King Barbaros's effect full effect off. What is it? Moisture Creature can also be very easily used to its full extent with this card.
Oh yeah, Moisture Creature is pretty hard to get out, so that'd be cool. I kind of want to see this used with Moisture Creature now.
Yeah. Basically, it's pretty much, if you're going to do any sort of tribute summoning deck, you want to use this card, because it makes it a one-card double tribute.
But I guess that is it for the TCG exclusives. As always, leave your thoughts below on these cards and anything else you thought about the video, and we'll see you guys for the next one.